Okay, let's get into this. We've got these notes, right? A player's reflections, basically, on his time with some pretty major action games.
Yeah, we're talking Black Myth Wukong, Rise of the Ronin, Elden Ring, Neo 2, Wolong. Quite the list.
He played them all, and he actually, genuinely liked them, but something started to bubble up for him about what exactly he liked in the combat.
Exactly. And that's kind of the mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To unpack how he started thinking about combat mechanics, specifically looking at defensive stuff.
Like rolling versus deflecting, that sort of thing.
Precisely. How those different approaches really affected his enjoyment, especially, in those tough boss fights.
So he starts off pretty relatable, beats these big, hard games. A lot of them have that sort of Souls-like feel.
Hmm.
So his first thought was, okay, guess I'm a Souls-like fan. Makes sense, right? Putting himself in that box.
It does seem logical, but looking at his notes, something really clicked, or maybe unclicked, while he was playing Wulong.
Wo long. So that was the turning point.
Seems like it. That's where that Souls-like fan label started feeling maybe a bit too broad. He started digging into a preference that was more specific than just the genre name.
And the core of it was deflection, you said.
Yeah. He writes about finding Wulong's deflection just way more satisfying. He used words like smooth, uh, refreshing.
Compared to what? Like the constant rolling.
Exactly. Compared to that feeling he got in, say, Elden Ring or maybe Black Myth, where he felt like he was always rolling, always trying to get away from the attack.
Okay, so why? Why did deflection feel so much better to him in Wulong?
Well, a couple of things he points out. He felt the game gave bigger rewards for pulling off a deflection, maintaining momentum, punishing the enemy harder.
Keeping the pressure on.
And maybe just as important, he felt the penalty for missing a deflection wasn't as harsh as, like, missing a parry in some other games.
Well, interesting. Less punishing.
Yeah. He even mentioned times where he kind of panicked, meant to dodge a massive boss hit, but accidentally hit the deflect button
Like
instead.
it worked.
And it actually worked, which, that's pretty surprising and feels great when it happens. Accidental success.
Huh. That really suggests the mechanic itself feels good, even if you're not perfect at it. So, did that change how he played Wolong overall?
Definitely. He notes that because deflection felt viable, even encouraged, he didn't feel that constant pressure to back off or run away.
So he could stand his ground more.
Exactly. He could keep up this faster combat rhythm, really clash directly with the bosses, weapon on weapon.
Which is a big contrast to his description of Elden Ring or Black Myth, where it sounds like he was more focused on evasion, rolling out of the way.
Right. And it made an interesting point about learning in Wolong. Failing deflections against a tough boss wasn't just frustrating punishment.
It was practice.
It was practice, yeah. It actually helped him learn the attack timings, get better at deflecting, and that, in turn, let him stick with that direct confrontational style he preferred.
Okay, so his big takeaway wasn't just, I like Souls-likes anymore.
No, not quite. He sort of refined it. He realized his real preference wasn't tied to a genre label, but to a specific feeling during combat.
That smooth or refreshing feeling he mentioned.
Exactly. He likes action games with those kinds of mechanics built around really well-designed, tough bosses that reward strategic counterplay like deflection more
Yeah.
than just pure dodging.
It makes sense. Did he mention Neo 2 or Rise of the Ronin in that context, since they're from the same developer as Wolong?
He did add a little note, yeah, saying he thought spending more time with those might give him even more insight, kind of test his theory further.
Right. So ultimately, it was clicking with that one mechanic deflection that really reshaped how he saw his own preferences within the whole action genre.
Pretty much. That feeling of satisfaction from mastering or even just getting comfortable with deflection was enough to make him rethink what kind of action game truly resonated with him.
So for him, it wasn't about the label, it was about the granular feel, the moment-to-moment interaction. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Right.
How much can mastering or just vibing with one single mechanic change how someone sees an entire genre? What specific feelings in combat, beyond just, winning, end up being the most rewarding? Something to chew on.